Welcome to CKLA, Lesson 3, Unit 5 of Skills. Our learning targets for today are: I can identify nouns and adjectives in sentences. I can read words with the different spellings for the sound. And I can ask and answer questions about key details in the story, the theme. Let's start with grammar. What is an adjective? Now, we talked earlier in the week on what an adjective is. Can you recall what an adjective is? What part of speech? What do they look like in a sentence? Now, adjectives are describing words. They're those words that tell us about our nouns. Now, let's think of adjectives that could describe the clothes that you are wearing today. Adjectives can be very useful to use as you describe important details. So like when you're talking about the clothes that you have on, using color words, describing their texture. Are they soft? Are they, you describe the material, stretchy. If you talk about, you basically use your 5 senses, how they feel, how they smell. You wouldn't talk about how they taste because you're not going to eat your pajamas or your clothes that you have on. How they feel, so the texture of them, are they soft, are they textured, and how they sound. So if it's a rain jacket, it may sound different. So those adjectives are describing words. They're helping people put a picture in their head. So when you give directions, times that you would use adjectives for more details. When you give directions, turn at the yellow house, that's helping someone to decide where to turn, like it's giving them more detail. Giving correct amounts for recipes, using 1 cup. The word one is an adjective in that sentence of white sugar. White is an adjective in there. When you're ordering at a restaurant and they ask you, how would you like your eggs cooked? If you say sunny side up, you're giving them a description. Knowing the weather, so weather, a rainy day when you're writing about something, maybe you're writing a fictional story, it's helping develop the setting. Adjectives also help make writing more descriptive and interesting to read. You don't want to read about an apple. You want to read about a red, juicy apple that just fell quickly from a tree and hit someone on top of the head. You're going to want to hear about the details, those good details that are describing those nouns. Let's find the nouns and adjectives in these sentences. White goats jump. Now you have to find the noun first. So what's the noun in this sentence? White goats jump. The noun is goats and your adjective is white. So it's helping you describe and put a picture in your head of what's going on. So you're going to picture a white goat. Orange hair rocks. What's your noun? Hair, and your adjective is orange. Soft grass sways. So you're thinking about grass that when you walk on it, it feel good to your feet. Soft grass sways. Pink bubblegum pops. So if I were to have you draw a picture of this sentence, you would draw bubblegum popping and you would definitely color it pink because pink is the adjective describing bubblegum. And I know that usually pink bubblegum is that sugary, good, bubble gum flavored, good bubblegum. Silly cats dance. This is not an old fat cat. This is a silly cat. Loyal dogs stay. So your adjective is loyal and your noun is dogs. Smart teachers rule. Smart is describing your teachers. Funny books are great. Funny is describing your books. Brown cows moo. Brown is describing cows. Okay, let's review the spelling that we have learned. We learned this yesterday with the sound. The O made the sound in our words yesterday. Now your O is alone, so it's just the letter O, but it's going to say not your typical ah. Today we will focus on 2 other spellings for the sound. You're going to have the made with O consonant E, and OU. So typically these would stand for the sound O, but today they're going to make the sound, like in done. Now let's read some words that are similar to these. So they're going to be O consonant E, but the O is going to say shove, glove, done, some, come. Okay, keep reading them with me. Now your vowel is O, but it's making the sound. So the O consonant E is making that sound. OU can also stand for as in touch. So let's read these words. Country, young. This one's capitalized, so we know it's a proper noun. This is a name, Doug. Touch, southern. Now the vowels OU can say ow, and they can also say So you kind of have to use your own knowledge of the word to decide which sound the OU is making. Okay, you can pause your video and find workbook page 11, which is titled 3.1. Now these are words with the sound made with either O, OU, or O consonant E. So find your workbook page and then you can unpause the video. Okay, let's read the words that are in the squares or in the very top in your word bank. Younger, none, welcome, gloves, enormous, touched. Now you're going to complete the sentences with these words. Now you've got a section at the bottom where you're going to write 2 new sentences using any 2 of the words from the box. So you can pick any 2 words from the box and write 2 different sentences. Now tonight for homework, you are going to be reading a story titled The Thief. So we are back in our reader, Sir Gus. So if you need to look in the Amplify app, you have the story that's in your packet. It is workbook page 13, 3.2, along with your questions that are on page 15, which is titled 3.3. But you also can listen to the story on Amplify. You go to your Clever and click Amplify. You go to your library, look in your table of contents, and you're going to find the book Sir Gus. The story is titled The Thief. Now, before we read, we're going to look at it a little bit today before to predict and kind of discuss some vocabulary before you read it for homework. Now, you need to, for sure, practice reading this independently a few times, and then you need to find someone at home to read it aloud to. Now, like I said, this is in the book Sir Gus, and yesterday we read the story, The Beginning. So the thief is going to come after the story, The Beginning. Now repeat the word after me, thief. Do you know what a thief is? A thief is a person who steals things. Now, why is it wrong to steal things? It's definitely wrong to steal things because if it's not yours, you shouldn't take it. It's not an act that would be considered good. It's against the law, and we definitely don't steal things. Today's story is about a thief who steals something from the king. And remember yesterday we talked about people who protect the king? Those were called knights, right? Okay, so let's preview some of our spellings before we read. Look in your O consonant E. This is going to say love, none. Okay, read these with me. This is your OU. It's going to also say country, young, could. Your O, it's going to say agony, gallop. Now check these compound words out. So use that breaking apart of words to sound these out and make them a little easier to decode. Bedroom, horseback, sunrise. And your tricky word is father. Now let's preview some vocabulary. A herring is a fish. When you hear the term my lord or your majesty, you're referring to a king. You're referring to someone that is higher up, and you think about these medieval times with castles and kings. If someone says my lord, you're addressing a king that way, or your majesty. Now, summoned, if you're summoned, you are called upon to. So you are asked to join, or you are asked to attend. You are summoned. At the crack of dawn. The crack of dawn would be that time in the morning as the sun is rising. So it's really early in the morning. Mounted. If something is mounted, it is attached to. It is, if you mounted, you climbed up onto something above the level of ground. So the knight mounted his horse and began riding away. So he climbed up on. Shot off like an arrow. The term shot off like an arrow means started quickly. The horse shot off like an arrow after hearing the horn blow. So it started super quick. Agony is pain. So if you're in agony, it's intense pain or suffering. An example would be after breaking her arm, the girl was in agony. Now let's make a prediction how King Alfred will react, how he will react when he finds out something of his has been stolen. Now you think this is a king, someone has stolen from him. Think about how you feel if someone stole from you. Now you're going to read carefully to see if your predictions are correct. Now remember, when you're answering the questions, you need to read this a few times independently, read it aloud to someone at home. And then when you're answering your questions, like the first question, number 1, what is a thief? You're going to answer it in a complete sentence. So you're going to use text evidence and find it in the story. What is a thief? When we find it in the story, we're going to write our response in a complete sentence. So you would start off something like this. A thief is, and then you would finish the sentence based on what you read in the story. As you're reading about Sir Gus, think about some adjectives that would describe Sir Gus. So these fictional stories are creating these pictures in your mind about Sir Gus. So think about some adjectives that you would use to describe Sir Gus. And we're going to look at this later on in the week too. Okay, so your take-home sheets 3.2 and 3.3, which are workbook pages 13 and 15, front and back, those are your homework tonight. So you're going to read your story and answer your questions. Okay, our I can statements for today. I can identify nouns and adjectives in a sentence. I can read words with different spellings for the sound. And I can ask and answer questions about key details in the story, The Thief. Have a great day.